So understand if it's an authority figure, a leader, mentor, or coach telling you to do something, trying to help you have their best interest for you, and you're still not doing it, that's part of the reason why you're going through the season you're going through. Is because you haven't learned to be obedient, because you haven't learned how to be able to work with what you have now, with the little that you have now, in order to be able to get those blessings later on, because you're not being. Yo, what's goody, Latrell in a hoodie, and welcome to another episode of the Brother Next Door podcast, where we talk about finance, personal development, and skills to get you further in life, actual steps, and my own personal experiences. In this episode, we're talking about a little something different. We're talking about the desert season. Not the dessert season, but the desert season. We're talking about a season where you've either lost something, you lost someone, you've lost multiple things. You just feel like you're in a season where you trying and you're just not getting anywhere. That's the season that we're talking about. Some may call it a rut, right? Some may call it, another thing. But we're talking about that season where you just feel like you should be a lot further than where you actually are. But understand that the desert season isn't a bad thing. Understand the desert season isn't, negative. It's not meant to hurt you. It's not meant to, put you in a terrible place, right? It's actually meant to grow you. It's actually meant to develop you. And that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about 3 things that the desert season develops. The first thing it develops is humility. Understand that's a freedom from pride or arrogance. And so we really want to get to that place to where we're not big-headed. We want to get to that place to where we don't feel like, we're the stuff, we're on top of the world, we can do anything, we're, over everybody. No. There's a lot of people at my job, and I'm sure at every location, at every job, right, where you got that one coworker that just feels like he's on top of the world. But outside of those 4 walls, he ain't nothing different than a can of paint, right? You can't tell him, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just like he has no authority outside of those 4 walls. But within those 4 walls, he just, or she, just think they, on top of the world because they have some level of authority. But you got to understand, in this season of the desert, it will humble you. It will bring you to humility. It will remind you of who gave you all those things, who gave you all those accolades, who gave you that position, and all these different things. Who helped you get to where you are, whether it's a higher power, whether it's God, or whether it's people around you, whether it's mentors, whether it's coaches, whether whoever it may be. And so understand this season is about humility. It's about developing, hey, let me take a step back because I'm not all that in a, bag of chips. Let me figure out how I can grow. Let me figure out how I can develop. Let me figure out how I can submit and be able to, work on my weaknesses, right? And so understand there are a couple of things you can do to work on humility. One, recognize your strengths and weaknesses. Like I just said, what are you very good at? What are you not so good at? What can you possibly delegate, right? If you're in a position to delegate some things. If not, okay, it's time to work on those weaknesses. For me, as everybody knows that's been following the podcast for a while, it was editing. I struggled. I mean, even talking, I struggled with the whole shebang, right? I really struggled with everything. But the hardest thing for me was editing and just getting around the platform, getting around the software and understanding it and, cuts and all that good stuff. And then being able to talk, being able to express myself in a precise way was another hurdle that I had to overcome. And so I had to humble myself and say, Latrell, 1, you don't know everything to begin with. And 2, you need to learn how to be able to express yourself in an articulate way. That way people can actually understand what you're trying to say. And so that's number 1. It develops humility. Number 2, it develops your character. Understand there are some things in life that you're just not ready to receive yet. Because if you were to receive it, you're going to fumble it. And that's just straight up. You would fumble the bag, literally and figuratively. Whether it's a new job, you probably gonna fumble it because you don't know how to interact with others. You don't know how to watch your anger. You don't know how to be able to, delegate different assignments to other people. That whether it's, a promotion for more money, you're gonna fumble the bag because you're gonna go mess around and deal with lifestyle creep. And so as that pay rise goes up, now your spending goes up. And so now you're spending more than you're saving. And now you're wondering why you're living paycheck to paycheck, making $100,000 a year. And it's like, bruh, you got a $700 car payment, you living in a $2,000 a month house. It's like, bruh, like, come on, lower the expenses. And then, you know what I'm saying, do great with what you have now. Do great with the little that you have now. Then you could work your way to getting nicer, things and nicer cars and nicer stuff after, right? You've reached a place to where you can easily afford those things. How do you develop character? Keep your promises. Keep your promises to yourself and keep your promises to other people. Some people don't struggle with keeping their promises to other people, but they struggle with keeping their promise to themselves. I'm going to go to the gym today, and then you don't go. I raise my hand for that one, right? You struggle with, I'm going to read my Bible today, or I'm going to read a book today, and then you don't end up reading. Why? Because you're tired, because you just got off work, because you've been cleaning all day, because you've been cooking, because you've been, whatever the excuse may be. Start keeping your promises. Start small, whether it's, hey, I'm going to make my bed. Make that promise to yourself the night before. Hey, I'm going to make my bed tomorrow morning. And then you make your bed. Okay, one promise has been kept. What's the next promise? Brush my teeth. Okay? And then you just go on from there. And then you just make bigger and bigger promises. Hey, I'm going to start going to the gym. And then you start going. Whether you want to or not, you're going to show up and keep those promises, not only to other people, but also to yourself. Don't let others determine how you act. What do I mean by this? Understand you have to go deep and find your nature. You got to understand who you are as a human being. You got to understand how you act naturally as yourself. And don't let that be affected by other people. So, for example, if you're a nice, outgoing, respectful person, and someone's rude, all this good stuff, don't let that destroy your nature. Don't let that ruin your nature. Don't let that affect how you act. Obviously, get away from that situation. Get away from that person. But don't get down to their level and get rude and get mean and go back and forth with that person just because they're acting like that, right? Stay firm in what you believe. Stay firm in who you are. And just keep it pushing, right? They don't want to change. They having a bad day. Cool. You don't know what they're going through. But don't stoop down to their level is what I'm really saying. Next, push to be better than you were yesterday. Learn something new. There's no simpler way of saying it. Just learn something new. Whether it's at work, whether it's, your side hustle, whether it's something you enjoy doing just for fun, whatever it may be. Whatever field that is for you, just learn one thing new. And be able to take actions on that thing that you learned. Be able to implement that thing that you learned. That way you commit it to memory. That way you can actually start applying it. Because you can learn all you want, but if you're not applying what you're learning, you're wasting your time. So start applying and developing that character. Last but not least, develop your obedience. Understand, it's not true obedience until you have options. Sorry, I had to let that one sit a little bit. Do not, or not do not. It's not true obedience until you have options. What do I mean? So if all you have in the house is healthy food, it's not true obedience because all you got to eat is healthy food. But if you got all this healthy food in the pantry, my God, and over there in that corner, you see them chocolate chip cookies? Then, hey, now you have options. Now you have a choice to exercise that obedience of, okay, am I gonna eat healthy today, or am I gonna dig into them cookies, right? Going to the gym after work, you have a choice every single day. Am I gonna make a beeline straight home, or am I gonna, take a little detour to the gym? 15, 30 minutes, that's it. 15, 30 minutes, get the work in, and then go home. It's not obedience until you have options. Remember that, family. Remember that, family. Understand, don't allow your desires for expedience to lead to disobedience. What's another way of saying this? Don't allow convenience to overthrow obedience. Don't just, oh man, I just want to chill today. I just want to relax. I don't want to do nothing. Or, I'm gonna just cheat my way through this test, rather than sitting down, studying, taking the time to do what you need to do in order to pass that test that you know you need to pass, right? So, family, what you don't want to do is allow convenience to overthrow obedience. Don't allow convenience to overthrow your obedience. If you know you're supposed to do something, get it done. If somebody tells you of authority, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to take these certain steps, and you know they're right, you still don't do it, that is disobedience, right? So understand, if it's an authority figure, a leader, mentor, or coach telling you to do something, trying to help you have their best interest for you, and you're still not doing it, that's part of the reason why you're going through the season you're going through. Is because you haven't learned to be obedient, because you haven't learned how to be able to work with what you have now, with the little that you have now, in order to be able to get those blessings later on, because you're not being obedient now. So those are the three things that I wanted to cover in this episode. Understand, the desert season develops your humility. The desert season develops your character, and then it develops your obedience. I hope you take these nuggets. I hope you run with them. I hope you guys are enjoying the episode. Leave a 5-star review. There'll be a link down in the description where you can donate $1, $5, $10 every single month. Get the brother, help a brother out special. I greatly appreciate it. And I will see y'all in the next episode. Peace.